It's uncensored. It's live 24/7. It's chaoticradio.com.
Oh, the fish-eyed limbs of tear-stained eyes.
kind of gets to me. The final cut from Pink Floyd, their final song before the band broke up with Richard Wright, Roger Moore and David Gilmour, and of course the voice of Roger Waters on that song. Most of the songs are with David Gilmour, who has a soft, soothing voice. Roger Waters' voice is very distinctive, very harsh, very direct, as well as his lyrics are, as he wrote most of the songs for Pink Floyd. And when the band broke up, David Gilmour, Roger Moore, and Richard Wright took the name and became Pink Floyd without Roger Waters, who was the main person behind it. I was fortunate enough in my times to see both Pink Floyd, Roger Waters, and David Gilmour. So I was very fortunate in that way. People say, well, Dan, you're punk rock. What are you doing listening to Pink Floyd? I love Pink Floyd. I own every single one of their CDs, and I'm like that. Okay, don't put me into a pocket and judge me and tell me what I should and shouldn't be listening to. But yeah, this is the Dan Rupp Show with the folks on recovery. 909-360-8330 is our phone number. You're welcome to call in. Tonight's going to be kind of an abbreviated show. I had a guest cancel, so it's just me here tonight. And so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to kind of give you my abbreviated life story, because if I was going to give you my whole life story, it would take 47 years, and that'd be pretty boring. So, so I'll just kind of give you my testimony and what I've been through and where I'm going and where I'm at and everything else. First of all, I'll tell you where I'm at. Last week I suffered an accident. I tripped and fell, and it was actually the week before last. And I had a guest last week, so I wasn't able to get into it, but I slipped and I fell in my hallway. My carpet buckled, and I tripped over that buckle, and I have bruises all over my left side and a few on my right, and my knee hurts. Good news is I saw my doctor, and he tested my kidneys and tested me for any blood clots, and I'm good. So that's good news, man. You know, when you have health like me, which is kind of effed up, it's good news. So yeah, so that's that. It's kind of sucks, but I'm spending a lot of time at Kaiser. I almost didn't come in tonight. My guest canceled, but I didn't want to do that. I'm trying to do the right thing, and so I came in to fill the time and with live radio. So again, 909-360-8330 is our phone number. 909-360-8330. Don't be afraid to call, because I have no guest. I hate going solo, but it's no problem with me because I'm used to doing this and going up and speaking to people and doing things a little bit different. Yeah, so that's all fine and stuff, we bought a new TV, which is good news. It's like a 50-something inch, and it's one of those ones that bend around, they curve, and my old TV, I was going to put it on Craigslist or one of the Facebook classified list, but I think I'm going to drive it down to Whiteside and donate it to them. www.whiteside.com. They could probably use it in the house that I stayed in, the annex, where they have an old tube TV, and I think that's just the right thing to do. I don't need it to sell my TV for $100. So that's probably what I'll get for it. It's a nice flat screen, 42-inch, I think it is, and but yeah, so I'm just gonna give it to my old rehab center. Also, thank you to Cedar House, www.cedarhouse.com. People always say, why don't you go for their numbers, their addresses? Well, if you want help, you probably need help. You got to get it on your own. I can't help you with that. You're always welcome to call me here at the station. 909-360-8330. That's our number. So I'm just going to go through real quick what I've been through. A lot of people ask me when I was at Whiteside, it was 2 weeks ago, because I haven't gone the last 2 weeks. One Friday night because of the rains, and other Friday night I wasn't feeling well. So, yeah, if any of you guys are listening, I know you can't call. I know they take your phones. But you know what? Listen in. It's somewhat of an interesting story of mine, my life story. As a preteen, I was diagnosed with one leg longer than the other, or one leg shorter than the other, however you want to look at it. And I was given prescription shoes, Buster Browns. I called them Herman Munster shoes. And yeah, so I was given those. That was fun. Wearing those things around, thumping around. They didn't work, so I was given leg braces. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen leg braces. Back then, they had them. Not a lot of people wore them. Almost nobody did, except for me. And they strapped. I had to wear them outside of my jeans or my corduroys, if I was wearing those at the time. Yeah, so I walked like Frankenstein, basically. I couldn't bend my knees. And I had one particular kid who would pick on me all the time. And he would just push me down and just laugh at me. And then, you know, he'd just keep pushing me down. And all I wanted to do was go and try to play baseball, because I was a big baseball fan, big Dodgers fan. And, yeah, so I did that, you know, and that kind of sucked. And had that happen to me. So, yeah. So then, after being constantly picked on and being pushed down, and the last time was on the black top, and I fell down, and oh yeah, I forgot, I also had headgear I had to wear with my braces. So yeah, I had headgear, leg braces, Frankenstein shoes, lots of fun. And he pushed me down on the blacktop, and I cut my cheek open. Had to go to the nurse's office, and they gauzed it up and soaked up the blood. But yeah, so that was that. Went into high school with really bad self-esteem. I would walk with my head hung low, my head down, and I finally met a friend. His name was Joe, and his friend Henry, and they introduced me to punk rock, and that's when I got into the punk rock scene in the 80s. My first show was probably Oingo Boingo, I think. And then after that was the Cramps, and I forget who else. But it also introduced me to many drugs and alcohol. And, I was fine with that, you know. No big deal. Because I was the youngest guy in the crowd. And people always say you can't do that around Danny. Danny can't be around that. Don't do that around Danny. So I never did heroin. I never did meth. Never did. No, you know what? I did do coke for a little bit, you know. It was like a week or two long, and it was so good I couldn't quit. I didn't want to quit, so I didn't want to start. So I just did it for a little bit, but my drinking increased and increased and increased and increased. And a lot of people wonder, why I liked the movie Straight Outta Compton. Why? Because I could relate. No, you can't. You're not black. You're not from South Central. Well, I grew up in Hollywood, basically. Sunset, Hollywood Boulevard. And they were just down the street from us, those guys from Compton. So I would walk out of gigs like when I saw GBH and Subhumans, and you walk out of the concert and there's 10 cops in riot gears and their billy clubs, and they're just waiting to wail on you, and there's another 10 cops behind them on horseback and another 20 squad cars right behind them ready just to take you in, and basically you just wanted to go see a gig. You weren't there to harm anyone. So my drinking increased and it got pretty out of hand, and then I met this friend and he goes, "Hey man, we're straight edge." I'm like, "Straight edge? What's that?" Like a straight edge blade that you do coke with? They're like, "No man, we don't do anything." He goes, "We just enjoy the music. We don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't do any drugs." I go, "Huh." So I did that for a while, but then we all started to get married, and they started to have kids, and the straight edge music scene kind of ceased to exist. So it's kind of trippy, but I miss those days, and but then me too. I got married. I was given a child. I didn't have him. Not mine, but he is mine. He's my son. I raised him since he was 2. And, and now I'm going to be a grandfather come September. So that's going to be a trip. I don't know if I'm ready for it. I really don't. After the straight edge movement, getting married and stuff, having a real job as an account executive, a district manager, a regional manager, started drinking again, and with an expense account, it made it real easy. So I started drinking like crazy, and just it got too much. And then I thought I'd stop. And what happens when you stop drinking is that you start hallucinating. And if I was to tell you the things I saw, they were nightmares. Living nightmares. I was wide awake and all this was happening. Ghosts, people, things in my bedroom, people walking around my room. I don't know what my connection is with Hell's Angels. I used to have a boss that was a Hell's Angel. In fact, he was the vice president of the San Bernardino division of Hell's Angels. Let's see here. My wife is texting me. What has been one of the best moments on your road to recovery? And what has been your lowest? The best was White Side. I hated it when I got there. When I got to Whiteside, they sent me up to my roommate. My roommate was Jordan, who is still a friend of mine. I still talk to him. We do lunch when he comes down here. And they said, "Hey, here's your roommate Jordan." Then I said, "Hey, Jordan." He had a shaved head, which is fine. That's no problem to me. and but we created a very good friendship. And unfortunately, he relapsed. He scored some meth at a NA meeting. That's a good place to score drugs. You want to score drugs, we go to an NA meeting, from what I hear. Makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so no, he relapsed, and he was lucky my wife was out of town. She was in Jamaica. So I let him stay at my house for 2 days, or maybe it was 3. And let him shower, clean up, do his laundry. I fed him, you know. So yeah, so he good kid. But yeah, when I first got there, I met him like, Rhonda, I'm living in a house with a meth head who's a huffer. Because he liked to huff too. He liked to sniff things, you know? Like, you know, brake fluid, whatever gets you high. He didn't care. So I'm like, I don't belong here. I'm just an old drunk, you know? What is the worst thing about recovery? The worst thing is relapsing. Am I guilty of it? Yes. It's hard. I've taken classes on it. I have books on it. But that's the worst thing about recovery. It's also hard to go out like I went out last night and to a party, and I just I didn't feel it. Everybody's drinking and smoking, and here I am with my water and just feeling miserable. I just wanted to go home. You know, sometimes I just want to get away from it all the madness. But you can't. I mean, you know, you go to any store, liquor store, gas station, anywhere, you're going to find alcohol there. So it's not easy, you know. With meth, it's not easy either. You know, my friends that I made at Whiteside that are meth heads, their phones are just full of their contacts for meth, and they're getting calls constantly to buy meth and to, you know, and to sell meth and all that stuff. So I'm no better than they are. That's what I've learned. You know, I'm no better than Jordan. Jordan is my friend, and he always will be my friend. Granted, he's half my age, but he is my friend, and if he ever needs help, I will help him. When I got to Whiteside, I got there with just a grocery sack with a pair of sweats, a change of underwear, and a change of socks, and one t-shirt, I think, and that was it. And I didn't get a razor or anything, and I didn't shave, you know, probably worse than I am now. I haven't shaved in a few days, and my beard grows pretty quick. And he gave me a razor and, you know, let me use his toothpaste and stuff. So that was good. And making the friends that I made at Whiteside and the contacts that I made at Whiteside are very beneficial. All my contacts there, and my group, my AA group, Live and Let Live, is a great group, and it's in Riverside, which I hate, but I love the group. It's kind of funny because people always ask me, what kind of group is it? I'm going to go, well, it's a gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer-friendly group. Like, well, why do you go there? You're not any of those things. I go, they're friendly. That doesn't mean everybody there has to be that. You don't have to take a test. You know, there's plenty of straight people there. So, but it's nice because it's small and they're open and they're really cool. So I really like going to that one. Live and Let Live in Riverside, at the Riverside Spiritual Center. I forget. I think it's off Spruce. It's right down the street from Whiteside. I mean, it's walking distance from Whiteside. So, yeah, so that's about it. And, geez, and then, yeah, after all the hallucinations, get back to my story, after my wife interrupted me, story of my life. After all the hallucinations, I fell down. I lost a battle with a curb. I fell down, hit my head a couple times. My son had to drag me into the garage and put me on this little carpet that I have in my garage, my little, my little man room, and my wife had to, I think she drove me, or my dad did. They talked me into going because I had mass hallucinations. And they wouldn't subside, and they just kept coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. And it just kept saying these Hell's Angels and these bikers and old people and just this stuff going on. And I'm like, man, this is trippy, And this is from a guy that's done LSD and PCP. And I'm like, this is the worst trip ever. So I went to Kaiser, and they told me, Mr. Up. I'm like, yeah. They go, you have cirrhosis. I'm like, okay. They're like, okay, we're going to do an upper colostomy. And they found a few tumors. They were okay, though. They removed them. They weren't cancerous. So they were able to take those out, and, I was fine with that. And so then they told me I couldn't drink anymore. So when an alcoholic is told not to drink, guess what an alcoholic does? He drinks. So then I drank again. And this time it got real nasty. I tried to commit suicide, and things got ugly. And I just, I ended up in some rehab center in Chino, and it was an awful rehab center. It was a lockdown rehab center. And I had to get out. I mean, I would have jumped out of a window. I mean, I had to get out. So I had to take all these tests and everything, and the doctor finally said, okay, you're okay to leave. You're going to go to another rehab. And with help from my wife, she got me to Whiteside, which saved me. Because if it wasn't for that, I don't know what I'd be doing. So I went from the place in Chino to Whiteside. Whiteside, 30 days. The place in Chino, I think, was for 4 or 5 days. They had to check my stats every single half hour. I'm trying to sleep at night, and they're coming in, checking my stats. And then they would come in with flashlights, checked for contraband. And I'm like, you know what? I had a full anal exam, and I had a full frontal exam. Where am I going to bring the counterband in? Just get me out of here, The worst torture of that place was Friday. They had this guy with this plaid shirt and a bow tie who'd come in with this cart with games on. He'd be like, okay, guys, it's game time. I don't play games. F you. Then he goes, we're going to play charades. You go first. So I pulled out a card, and I got like a pirate or something. He goes, oh, this is a good one. And I just stood there with my hands crossed, and I just didn't do anything. And he's like, come on, you have to play. You have to participate. I'm like, no, I'm not playing charades. Homie, don't do that. So that's my story. And then after that, it was Whiteside. And, now it's, it's my meetings and stuff. And that's it. So, hopefully, everything works out good for me, and I got a full support team of people. Rock to Recovery, you guys rock, and I've got a lot of my friends now that are grandparents. I'm going to be one soon. And a lot of my friends that are parents and that are getting older, hitting their 50s, they're realizing that they can't live like rock stars anymore. But we can still rock, I still go out and see bands, Don't get me wrong. I love live music. I love live comedy. I love live stuff. My wife doesn't always like it, but you know what? I'd rather do that than sit around with a bunch of people smoking cigarettes and drinking. So, with that, have a great night. I'm going to end it here. Mike, thank you for helping me out tonight.
All right, no problem.
It's close.
No, is the wrong song?
Yeah. This is good, though. I love the Doors. You like the Doors?
Yeah, of course.
What kind of music do you like?
I listen to pretty much anything. I mean, I work at a radio station.
Yeah.
So I listen to it all.
It's like I am.